Hey guys, welcome once again. It is time for Callous Fight Night, a live narration of an ADV battle. This is season 2 of Callous Fight Night, and our champion, even though he's only won the one match because, second week of season 2, is UD. And he's going to be against Nalorium. Everybody knows UD, so we don't need to talk about him too much. He's really good. He played SPL successfully. He made money in Callous Invitational 1, blah blah. Nalorium, on the other hand, I don't know him as well as an ADV player. I think of him as a black-white player, and I think as a black-white player, he has flashes of really good play. Maybe the consistency's not there, but he's very bold, and he definitely has a high ceiling. For ADV, I got to be honest. I mean, I'm sure he's entered our ADV tours on Pokemon Perfect or what have you, but I don't have recollection of actually watching him play an ADV game. So I'm really not sure what it is we should expect here. Finchinator here says, Callus, tell your wife happy Valentine's Day. Thank you. Appreciate that. Sue, where are we? We have UD with what looks like a generic Stally-ish team. I mean, it's pretty early on, but Skarmdal is obviously not an offensive team. And then on the flip side of that, Nalorium, I mean, Zap Bliss is a little bit unusual. Back in the old days, this was very common. These were two pokes that were just universally found on very stally teams. These days, Lead Zap is generally on an offensive or at least a balanced team. But this could be something closer to a stall. We could be into a stall mirror match here. We're going to find out. So the Bliss from Nalorium has both Fire Blast and Thunder Wave, which is a little unusual. Obvious stall team for UD, as if we didn't know that already. He's got the Skarm Bliss doll coming out now, so Bliss on Bliss action here. This one could be quite a bit grindier than our previous match, which I don't remember the exact number of turns. That was a whole week ago, very long time ago. But I feel like that one only took maybe 30-ish turns, didn't take too long, whatever. This one almost certainly looking like it's going to go longer. And these Blissies are never going to kill each other. Neither one has shown Toxic. Nalorium's not going to have it. He's got T-Wave Fire Blast, obviously soft-boiled somewhere. Last move, probably Ice Beam. UD's Bliss has shown only Seismic Toss, which tells us basically nothing other than it's not Calm Mind Bliss. And of course, obnoxiously, my SPL game when we're up 5-3 between Sadistic Narwhal and Nails right now, just starting. Obnoxious. I'd like to watch that, obviously, but good luck to you, Sadistic Narwhal. Beat Nails, Nails blows, all that good stuff. So, as we continue here, we've got a Rachi for Nalorium. So, like I said, sticking with my theory that these are two pretty stally teams, and we might be in for a bit of a grind here. Interesting nickname. I don't think I knew that. You could put smiley faces in Pokemon nicknames. Now I know. Oh, interesting. That's not what I thought it would be. Maybe this is more of a balanced team. That definitely caught me by surprise. It's a dynamic punch Rachi. Now, I think the goal there was to hit either Blissey or an incoming T-Tar, neither of which is what happened. It was just aimed at the Claydol, so even though it missed, who cares? It would have done very little. But nevertheless, we do have a D-Punch Jirachi, little uncommon. Hidden power here, nothing fancy, not HP fighting, which, I mean, Zapdos doesn't carry too much, but it exists, it's a thing. But this is just a more standard HP Ice or Grass here, bouncing off Bliss. The key thing right now is that UD has a Spike down, and Nalorium does not. Now, there's a Heal Bell, so status elements have gone away for UD's team. There's T-Wave, but who cares on Bliss, the natural Curemon. And, I mean, not that these Seismic Tosses are ever going to kill Blissey anyway, but without Sand, it's just the damage is pathetic. Blissey is so obscenely bulky right now without either player getting a T-Tar and its Sand into play. But like I said, a key advantage right now is that UD has a Spike, and Nalorium, I mean, he very well may have Spikes in the back. It certainly seems like that kind of team. But at this time, Nalorium has not shown a Spiker or gotten a Spike down. He's going to go to not only a Swampert, but a shiny Swampert here. Seems to be doing the whole shiny thing here. I think the Zapper is shiny as well, if I recall. Going to get out of the way. Vaporeon for UD. And an underwhelming 24% from Earthquake, even more so, again, because there is no Sand in play. So bulky things, which is most of both teams, are going to stay very bulky. And man, hypothetically, if neither player had sand, and if Nalorium doesn't have spikes either, it's going to be impossible for him to ever kill anything on UD's very sturdy team. So somewhere in that team for Nalorium, he is going to have to get spikes down, or at least get sand going, or both. But man, at this time, it feels zero progress being made on Nalorium's end. I mean, this is going to go long one way or another just by the nature of the teams. There's no doubt about that. And there's a hidden power catching Claydol. That doesn't tell us if it is ice or grass. Either one in this instance would have been super effective. There's a ballsy switch for UD. He goes to Skarm. Had Nalorium been able to predict that and go Thunderbolt, that would have definitely killed a Skarm, and it would have given us a 6-5 lead for Nalorium, but he's not able to make that prediction. Now he goes for the obvious Thunderbolt, but UD's not that bad. He's going to switch over to Bliss and not allow that to happen. But yeah, I mean, pending things like that, pending UD taking risks like that, and Nalorium ultimately calling him on it, it's going to be very difficult for Nalorium to get knockouts. Again, he may or may not have sand or spikes in the back, but he's in no rush whatsoever to show those things if he has them somewhere. And here comes a wish from UD, which is very likely going to get passed to the Claydol. It's safe from anything other than a critical hit here. I like the play that Nalorium makes as a middle ground to get the Toxic off, which is just always going to be good. The issue with that play is that we know there's a heal bell from Blissey, and now I recognize this team. This is the team, or very similar, it might be the exact team, that Marco P used against our team in Week 2 of SPL. He used this against Golden Sun. Golden Sun on my team did, in fact, win that game against this team, but I admit that we did catch some breaks. I don't think it's exact. I think that, if I recall correctly, Marco had a Suicune instead of Vaporeon, and we, I think, got a crit on it with Thunderbolt or something and ended up getting it that way. So that's cool. But this is a similar structure to that team. I'm not exactly sure what the Flareon is supposed to be doing. I haven't gone deep down that rabbit hole. I got to be honest with you. I've never used Flareon in my entire life in a competitive ADV game. I'm not clear what the niche is. I mean, maybe it really is as simple as it's a fire poke that has Wish. I think it might be the only fire poke that gets Wish. So maybe that really is it, but I'm not clear as to what its purpose is or why it would be better than other Pokemon with Wish. Nevertheless, the grind continues, and there's still 3 unrevealed, so we don't know what we don't know, but still no sand for either guy, and the one and only spike beneath the team of Nalorium. UD has not been able to establish a second or third lair. Nalorium's been pretty good at keeping him off that, but one of the really cool benefits of leading a spiker, something I know Linear is a big fan of doing, you almost always get the one layer. I mean, there's obscure scenarios where you get forced out. Obviously, like if you lead Zap against Skarm, like we saw here, usually the Skarm does not stay in, but generally it's pretty safe to assume you're going to get at least one layer down, and in fact, that is what happened. We have a layer, and Nalorium has not been able to remove that, but again, he's got the 2 unrevealeds. Maybe he can remove them later. Here comes a second layer, accelerating the progress for UD. There's Thunder, which if it hits actually has a 60% chance of para when it comes from Rachi because of Serene Grace, and it does power the Flareon there. But again, remember, UD does have the Heal Bell on Bliss, so some of these status problems that he's having, like the Toxic on the Claydol, the power from the Thunder there on the Flareon, both of those can be made to go away by clicking Heal Bell, and I think he's only done it once. I think, yeah, plenty of Bell PP, 7 of them in the back, and Blissey really in no danger from Nalorium either, so he's totally able to get that in and get the Heal Bell off whenever he feels like he needs to. 2 powers in a row from UD doesn't seem like a huge deal. Maybe he was going for a Wish at some point and was attempting to pass that somewhere, but UD's team, if we just do a quick health check right now, Skarm at 100, Claydol at 94, Blissey 96, Vaporeon 100, Flareon 100. So every single mon on the team is at either 100 or 90-something%. Nothing remotely in danger, and the status effects don't matter either. Like I said, Heal Bell. So UD is, I mean, we're 43 turns in, and really nothing bad has happened at all to UD. He just, everything's safe, everything's healthy. he should be good to go. Nalorium is really lacking in offensive pressure here. I'm not clear on what his team is designed to do, but it does not seem to have much forward momentum or a way to actually win games. I mean, I guess an old school mentality, right, is that the way to win the game is by eventually grinding the opponent out. Very slowly, they will run out of gas. You will toxic stall them, you'll chip at them, whatever. But I think those teams are a lot worse than they used to be. I think that concept is outdated. I think good players in general are not going to beat themselves. You're not just going to sit there and wait for them to eventually choke. I just don't think that's a reliable strategy against somebody like UD. UD is not going to colossally throw the game and just hand it to Nalorium if he's patient enough. So I think somewhere you need actual offense, actual forward momentum. There we go. Okay, there's got to be something. We do have a Marowak here being seen for the first time from Nalorium. That's an offensive poke on what is otherwise a very defense-minded team. Of note, too, I don't want to skip over, there was a Toxic on the Swampert that got caught. So unless it's Bell Bliss, which we know that it's not, or another random Heal Beller in the back, I think that Toxic is going to stay on the Swampert. It could theoretically have Refresh, but with both Earthquake and Hydro Pump, it's really unlikely that it does. So I think that Toxic on the Pert is going to stay and is going to matter, and obviously that's something it does not want to be hit with. So that was good for UD. And we now see his full team. Gengar comes in to protect the spikes. That is unsurprising. It is a Swords Dance on the Switch. I believe that the Marowak does live the Ice Punch here, or Giga Drain, or HP Grass, or whatever it is, pending a crit. So the Marowak can get a KO on the Gengar here at +2. It is, of course, holding that thick club, which is why it's not gaining lefties. Don't get me wrong, its special defense isn't good. Ice Punch here would do a lot. But pending a crit or a freeze, the Marowak would get to retaliate here, and Gengar would get walloped by the Swords Dance boosted whatever it is. Rock Slide, HP Ghost, whatever the Marowak may have here. It's going to have something for Gengar. It might be Rock Slide, so there is the possibility, of course, that he misses, but I think most likely what's going to happen here, I don't think you can switch if you're an Nalorium. I mean, you've already shown your surprise in the Marowak. You're not going to be able to reliably para-spam on the other team because the Heal Beller, you're at +2, you lose your boost. I think you just have to go for it here. I don't think that you can do too much here other than attack. Interestingly, I saw Nalorium just now. It says that he just started a Gen 2 game. I'm not clear on why he's doing that in the middle of Fight Night. I wish you wouldn't do that and waste our time, but I guess he's playing 2 games at once. I'm not sure who we're waiting on, though. I think it's actually UD taking the timer here. At least it was the last time the timer ticked. It doesn't update second by second. It's every 30 or so. But yeah, it's actually UD here doing the thinking. Nalorium locked in his move a little while ago and evidently hasn't gone back on it. He's rolling with it. So here we are, simply waiting for UD to figure out what to do in this situation. Now Nalorium is having second thoughts. I hate doubling back there. He goes to Bliss, and there's the Will-O-Wisp, which evidently is what he was trying to avoid, which, I mean, results-based comment, but it actually misses anyway. So the Marowak there would have dodged the Will-O-Wisp and then killed the Gengar, so that would have been really good for Nalorium, but I really don't understand pulling it back there. I can't imagine the Marowak is going to have too many more opportunities. There is no... I guess there could be Wish. We don't know if the Rachi has it or not, but typically Dynamic Punch Thunder Rachi does not have Wish. We know Blissey doesn't have Wish. We don't know the last poke for Nalorium, but I feel pretty good in assuming, pretty safe, that there's not going to be a Wish anywhere on Nalorium's team, so I don't think he's going to be able to heal the Marowak with that. He also doesn't have Leech Seed, so we can't do that. So I think every time the Marowak comes in, it's going to step on those spikes and get chipped down. And also now that UD knows about the Marowak, he can start trying to predict it and going for offensive moves on switches if he happens to catch the Marowak with anything. A Seismic Toss, never mind like an Ice Beam or a Surf or whatever, but just a Seismic Toss, just a generic move. It's definitely going to add up on the Marowak, and it's really just not going to have that many opportunities anymore. It does have Swords Dance, but I mean, that's going to take a full turn to do that again if he wants to do that. So I really think Nalorium should have pulled the trigger there. I do understand the fear of Will-O-Wisp. Obviously, you don't want to get your Marowak burnt. It's devastating, but I don't know what pulling back there gets you. It feels to me... I mean, it's kind of felt the whole time, because frankly, I just don't think Nalorium's team is good. I think he brought a bad, outdated squad, if I'm just saying it like it is, but it's felt to me the whole time like UD is in like no danger here. The Marowak is potentially a threat to the team of UD. It is a bit unlucky on Nalorium's part that he brought this team with multiple ways to paralyze the opponent against a team that happens to have a heal bell user, since heal bell these days, or aromatherapy, same deal, is pretty uncommon. Most teams don't carry that. It's way less common than it used to be. So, I mean, there is that. But overall, I think Nalorium's team lacks offensive pressure. I think it's too all in on the Marowak, and I think he really, really, really needed to take the chance when he had it. This Rachi might be the best bet for Nalorium. He needs to make predictions and make plays. It's very dangerous. It can hit the Bliss and the Skarm for heavy damage, which not a lot of Pokemon can do. Something that genuinely threatens both of them, so that's obviously good. Unfortunately, he has been very unlucky with his dynamic punches. I don't know if he's landed any of them all game, but I've seen him miss quite a few of them. He's either hit one or he's hit zero. He is not connecting with a lot of deep punches. And really, things on Nalorium's team, I mean, especially now with that third layer of spikes down, things are really starting to look bleaker and bleaker. I'm not clear on what his plan is to win this game, but it doesn't feel like he's making any progress. This game I wish it felt closer. I wish it felt like Nalorium were working toward a plan to turn this around or crawl back in it or whatever, but it just doesn't feel that way. It really truly feels to me it feels like an inevitability that UD is going to win. I don't like thinking that way. I mean, I want to keep watching, keep narrating, all that good stuff. Who knows? Maybe it could turn around, but UD's whole team still, as it has been all game, I mean, other than the Skarm, everybody's super, super healthy. Everybody's at almost 100%. The Skarm is not that damn important anymore after setting the 3 layers of spikes, and frankly, you could just pass a wish to it if you really need to. So it's last poke T-Tower. There we go. It better be something offensive. There we go. It's a DD Tower. This is exactly what Nalorium needs. He goes Ice Beam. He's fishing for a crit or a freeze. He gets neither, and he's going to have to find one right now, or I think we're done here. Does not find the crit or the freeze. I think that's going to wrap it up. Game not literally over, obviously. 6-4, but I think Nalorium basically can't win at this point unless there a way to pass. Yeah. So there is no way to pass the agility to Marowak, which sometimes is the case on these teams. Sometimes the lead zapper is Agilipass, but we obviously know it can't have that. We've seen 3 of the moves, none of which are agility or pass. So even if the last move were agility or pass, it can't have both. So the only way I could see is like hypothetically you get Agilipass going on Marowak, so it gets to +2/+2 via the Agilipass and the Swords Dance, and then it sweeps, I guess. But that does not appear to be an option here, and yeah, I mean, Nalorium's taking the time here. Maybe he's distracted by his Gen 2 game that it annoys me that he's playing, but I don't know what there is to think about. I mean, good for him for playing it out and trying to figure it out, certainly within his prerogative, but I'm not seeing it. I'm open to being wrong. I love epic comebacks. YouTube loves epic comebacks, but can't imagine how it happens here. There's a knockout, so Nalorium at least gets on the board, but it's fine to give up the doll. I mean, Gengar comes in now. I guess the saving grace is that he's got a nice safe switch into it with the Blissey. That isn't really the issue, though. It's not necessarily how Nalorium stops UD's stuff. UD's team is not very offensive. It's more how does Nalorium win. Swampert's going to die soon. Every time Marowak comes in and has to sit on the spikes, how do you actually win if you're Nalorium? And I think the answer is you don't. But we go through the motions here as the very weak Swampert fades. I don't believe we actually know what the hidden power is still from Zapdos. Either Ice or Grass. Maybe I missed it. It's a long game and I'm trying to watch my RBY game on my phone at the same time, so I totally might be missing things. Narwhal did just lose game 1 to Nails, so that is unfortunate, but it's a best of 3 for a reason, and I'm positive Narwhal is going to come back and rattle off 2 more in a row. Right. Alright, so we've got the Zapper and the Bliss going, Thunderbolt and Ice Beam respectively. We do have Sand going now, so the next Ice Beam, should it connect with Zapdos, would kill it here, but understandably, UD is going to take the safer route, go to Flareon here, takes the Thunderbolt okay at 37%, wouldn't live 2 more. Go for T-Wave, sure, makes sense to me. Nalorium here fishing for full para shenanigans, which I think makes a lot of sense. He's going to need to catch stuff like that in order to theoretically get back in this game. Thunderbolt and Toxic respectively. Wish gets off. Flareon fairly healthy. Thunderbolt again. And Wish again. So Flareon successfully defeating this Zapdos, it looks like. Here's the switch back to Skarm, and that does die to the Thunderbolt. Skarm not super important at this point. Here comes Gengar on cleanup duty. Zapdos is dead if it stays in. Marowak can't take an Ice Punch, so this basically forces the Blissey from Nalorium. She's at 57% right now, and she would have to come in on all 3 layers of spikes, and she would have to eat a Gengar attack, so that's not too pretty. Hell, UD might actually just go for Thunderbolt here. Does a little bit more to the Bliss than the Ice Punch would. It would still kill the Zapper, and if the Marowak comes in, who cares? Because it can't survive the 3 layers of spikes and then the follow-up Ice Punch. So I think that's fine. Nalorium again going into the think tank, but yeah, flat out I don't think this is a good team for Nalorium. I think this kind of strategy may have been a good team at some point. Also, Narwhal just got a freeze on the Chansey Ditto against Nails, so this is good. Fuck you, Nails. But yeah, I just think this kind of team from Nalorium is outdated. Plain and simple. This might be a minor mistake for UD because this is going to allow the Marowak to switch in for free. I don't think it matters because, like, even if Flareon stayed in indefinitely and the Marowak got to +6 with dances, I still don't think it matters because the Gengar will still outspeed it and take it out, unless it were some like Endure set. But I mean, it doesn't have Salic Berry. It's obviously Thick Club. So even though I do think this is a minor mistake from UD because it does allow the Marowak to come in and get a dance or 2 off, maybe the Flareon full paras, you do let the Marowak set up. So like a minor boo-boo, but I don't think it matters. I think that because the Marowak does not have agility support on this team and will always be outsped by the Gengar, I think that we are done here regardless. But Nalorium is nevertheless looking for a way. This is a longer fight night, both in terms of number of turns and also the amount of real time. Yeah, and UD says the exact same thing to him here, that, dude, you're playing another game. I agree. What are you doing? Come on, man. Wrap this up. Don't waste our time, please and thanks. Annoys me as well, he's playing another game. But I think we are done. Here's the Bliss switch. There's the Ice Punch. Sure, going through the motions. Blissey here can, of course, get a soft boiled off, and almost certainly will. We can go through the motions. We can do the thing, but I just don't see a path to victory. I mean, that's been a thing throughout the game where I don't see a path to victory for Nalorium, but like I really and like literally don't see one now. I don't think it's possible anymore for Nalorium to win. Like I said, the problem is the Gengar will always outspeed the Marowak and will always be able to come in and just kill it. And the only way around that is if UD is ever stupid enough to let the Blissey hit the Gengar with a Thunder Wave, which is absolutely never, ever, ever going to happen. And in Nalorium's case, he only has a limited number of opportunities to ever go for that because the Marowak itself has no agility support, no wish support, and is at 34% with 3 layers of spikes down. So in fact, the Marowak can only come in safely one more time. If it were to come in a second time, it would die to the spikes, regardless of anything that UD does. So we wait. Yeah, I mean, like the thing with this situation, right, is that the what Nalorium needs in this specific matchup, and obviously it makes plenty of sense that it's a Thunderwave Bliss. You obviously want to provide para support for the Marowak. That makes perfect sense. But the problem with having Thunderwave and not Toxic here for Nalorium is that he puts absolutely zero pressure on the opposing Blissey. If he could force switches, then maybe he could force a T-Wave onto the Vaporeon or the Gengar, and maybe with Para Hacks he can get there. But as it stands, when he does not have the ability to in any way put pressure on the opposing Bliss, UD's Blissey can sit in all effing day on its counterpart, and there's just stone cold nothing that Nalorium can do about that. The other thing that I've broken record with this, but the other problem is the heal bell. Even if he did force a Thunder Wave on the Gengar, it would just get belled away. There we go. I'm finally seeing GG's. There's a Surf killing the Marowak. And I'm surprised Nalorium not conceding here. Certainly his prerogative to go through the motions, but this game, honestly, even is going to, at the end of the day, look closer than it was. It's going to say 3-0, but it really, truly felt to me that UD was never in any meaningful danger in this game and was ahead wire to wire. It really felt like, I don't think Nalorium's team was up to snuff. I think that UD was never really going to lose this game, and not just like based on the players, not just based on, real ADV guy versus less known ADV guy. I don't care about that. Just because someone's not as well known doesn't mean they aren't good. I just, the way the teams lined up, it never, and the way the playing was going, it just never felt to me like UD was in any danger of losing this game. And as such, like I said, UD took this one without too much trouble, even though the scoreboard makes it look maybe closer than it actually was. And UD will be returning next week to defend the CALLOUS Fight Night crown against a new challenger. We just have to figure out exactly who that is. Here's the chit chat, and of course the Tigers channel here that I'm not going to go into for obvious reasons, but they're obviously talking about the game and all that good stuff. Let's figure out who we are against. So it's 1 through 28 this week, because like Jabba gets numbers 1 and 2, Watermess gets 3 and 4, Haika gets 5 and 6, so on and so forth. It's 1 through 28 this week to figure out who UD is going to be against next time. So, random number generator. You guys know how I do this. I pick some arbitrarily high number. We'll say 2,800. We'll roll it. Okay, and now we'll go 1 through 28. We're going to just do it once, whatever it is. No re-rolls. Boom. Number 27. Is that Zom again? What are the odds of that? Well, you guys saw it live. I don't edit these videos. I don't re-roll. You guys saw it live. The odds of that are pretty crappy, but that's the number that got pulled. So in a rematch of last week, we have UD against Zom going at it again. Should be good. Audience loves it. Can't wait to see. Thanks for watching. See you guys there. Oh, wait. One more thing. Sign up for Pokemon Perfect ADV Tournament number 2. I haven't actually posted it yet, but by the time this video is on YouTube, which is going to be today, those signups are going to be up. So join that. All right, see you guys next week.